Good afternoon. This is Sam Vaughn with Sam's Sports Report. Today's date is Sunday, January 29th, 2022, my sister's birthday. Today, the Bengals and Chiefs will play in the AFC Championship tonight. We'll start with the 49ers and Eagles, though. We'll start with the 49ers and Eagles stats. Geek Boy stats. 49ers average 26.5 points a game. Meanwhile, the Eagles average 28 points a game. Points allowed, 49ers at 17.5. Eagles are an amazing 7 points. Niners give up 377. Meanwhile, the Eagles give up 404. Yards passing, 238.2 for the 49ers. 257 for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, surprisingly, but not totally. He's a dual-threat quarterback. Not totally surprising in the passing game. 49ers, 3 championships in 4 years in the NFC. No matter what, they always have a good defense, and that transitions well into talent on the offensive side of the ball and helps a average to good quarterback get into the. We could have a rematch of the Super Bowl in 2019. Christian McCaffrey is one of the best backs in the league. They've added to that depth, and they have the best gadget player in the NFL, Deebo Samuels. Now I just pumped up the 49ers. The Eagles are better. They have a better offense, a better quarterback, a receiver, a better line. The only thing the Niners probably have is a better run game and a better defense. Also, Jalen Hurts can also run the ball and hurt you that way. That's why give me the Eagles 24-17. When I started it, I said it would be the Eagles and Bills, and I was wrong. My pick is now the Chiefs and Eagles. Since I picked the Eagles, I guess I'll have to go with the Eagles for the Super Bowl. But I hope I'm wrong again. Big one here on the injury report, though. Elijah Mitchell is questionable for the game. Christian McCaffrey, they give a good change-up game. Elijah Mitchell for Christian McCaffrey. Speed comes with Elijah Mitchell. Mitchell did not practice at all this week. It will be a game-time decision. If his head coach was Andy Reid, I don't think he'd be playing. Now we're going to go over the Chiefs and Bengals. The Bengals and Chiefs are having a lot of trash talk, including the Bengals calling it Burrowhead and all that crap. Remember, the Titans takes care of this. Willie Gay says, I don't respect them. Chiefs do. Shut them up. Now let's go into the Chiefs stats. Chiefs average 29.2 points a game, 26.1 points a game for the Bengals. Points allowed, 13.5. Chiefs give up about 20. So the Bengals have the edge on that. Yards per game, Bengals at 378, Chiefs at 424.7. So round up, 425. Yards rushing per game, Bengals about 96. Chiefs rushing about 116 yards. Yards passing, 282.5 for the Bengals, 308 for the Chiefs. Rushing yards allowed, 350. Yards allowed, 354 to 361 Chiefs. Passing yards allowed, 245 Bengals, 217 Chiefs. Rushing yards allowed, this is a problem, 109.5 for the Bengals, 144 for the Chiefs. The Chiefs haven't lost a game since week 13 when they played the Bengals. Bengals haven't lost a game since week 8, with the Bengals coming out on top. In the last 2 games, the combined scores of Bengals by 6. in both games. Move on to Mizzou, Kansas State, and KU. Number 12, Iowa State, but it wasn't even close. Mizzou blitzed them, as we said, 78-61. Kobe Brown finishes with 20 points and had a double-double with 12 rebounds. Demoy Hodge was hot. He hit it with 17. 5 3-mades. Nick Connor was good from 3 too. 4 3-mades. Missouri was just rolling on the threes, as you can tell. Mizzou rolled 78-61. It was 42-32 at half. And then Missouri rolled out a good second half as well, as they won by 17. Kansas avoids his 4th loss in a row. That has never happened in Bill Self's career in his 20 years as a Kansas Jayhawk. What an amazing defeat. I think Missouri has lost about 4 in a row about every year since he became the coach. In a sort of semi-low-scoring game, 77-68 was your final. The Jayhawks led pretty much all throughout the game. Kansas would lead 34-29, and Kentucky would never get the lead back. To lead all scorers, it was Jalen Wilson with 22, so that's 22, 31, 30, 23. That's his last 5 games. He's developing into a number 1 draft pick and possibly the player of the year. He was 9 of 18, 2 for 2 on the free throw line. Kansas wins 77-68. KJ Adams chipped in with 17. Grady Dick chipped in with 13. Be nice to get him going a little bit more. Royals busy off season, and especially in the last 2 weeks. Royals trade injury pro Alberto Mondesi. If he wasn't fielding a ground ball, which usually he wasn't, he would be on the DL. Josh Taylor from the Red Sox was traded to the Royals. The 30-year-old Taylor missed all of last season with a back, but he was stellar over his previous season's 3.69 ERA, including a 26 consecutive scoreless outing, the longest streak for left-hander in franchise history of the Red Sox. Alberto Mondesi never plays. Apparently, this guy didn't play last year, but I don't know how it can be a loss for the Royals. He never plays, including like 2 seasons, 3 seasons. He's been with the Royals for 8 years, including the World Series, and I get it, he wasn't a starter, but he never played anyways. I mean, whatever year you want to include it. Royals add Adolis Chapman. The Royals have made what? Also trading center fielder Michael A. Taylor to the Minnesota Twins. He goes back to his home of where he first started in the major leagues. In return, the Royals receiving a minor league left-hander Evan Six and a right-hander Steven Cruz. Cruz is 23 and was ranked 28th in the Twins farm system. The Baltimore Orioles acquired first baseman Ryan O'Hearn from the Kansas City Royals for cash earlier this offseason. 29-year-old hit .239 with 16 RBIs and 1 home run. He spent 5 sort of big league seasons with the Royals. I have to admit, this sounds okay with me, since I don't want to see him as a starting first baseman on opening day. Way it seems to me, he shouldn't be a first baseman to start in the major leagues for any team. Maybe he has earned a minor league starting spot. Pascantino and probably even Nick Prado. Both of them, hopefully, one will play DH and one will play first base. To read more about that, here's an article on those trades. Billy Packer, sharp-eyed, appointed lead college basketball analyst for NBC and CBS. Commentary was heard for during every Final Four game of the NCAA basketball tournament from 1975 to 2008. He died Thursday in a Charlotte NCC. He was 82 years old. His son, Brandon, said there was a cause of kidney failure. Now we look back at his life. This is Sam Vaughn for Sam Sports Report, signing off.
NC State play Maryland. So I said, sure. And I picked them up in Greensboro, and we drive over to Raleigh. And Skeeter said, now, Billy, I'm going to tell you something right now. He said, I was supposed to get a fill-in announcer, and I forgot all about it until yesterday. He said, you're the only guy I know that's got big enough balls to try this without any practice. He said, go up and announce the game. Of course, I knew the teams, I knew the coaches, I knew the history, but I didn't know how to put on the headset. And so a guy named Jim Thacker, who was a great broadcaster for the Atlantic Coast Conference, he turned out to be the man that was doing the play-by-play. And he knew who I was, so I sat down and said what I saw. And at halftime, they gave me a free Coke, and I'm saying, what, man, is this is really a neat thing to do. And the game was over, and Skeeter went a different way, so I drove home by myself, and I started thinking, I'd like to do that again sometime.
As it turns out, Billy Packer would do it again, and again, and again, and again, as he and Jim Thacker would become the soundtrack for the ACC and the tournament for the next decade.
Thacker and Packer, that was a big deal. Once a week, Thacker and Packer.
Thacker was the steady pro, while Packer had the pulse of the conference like no other.
Jim, Maryland's working out of that half-court zone trap, and this is something they've used so well this year. As a steal by McMillan. Now Maryland's in the driver's seat.
You got to remember how sophisticated and smart the ACC fans were.
This matchup defense that you've put in has really been...
And Packer, he was a made guy for them because played in the conference, coached some in the conference, knew the conference really well, lived in the footprint of the conference. And his whole thing was about ACC basketball. Culturally, this was a big thing. He knew how much ACC basketball meant to fans. He got that.
Packer would become as much a part of the fabric of the conference as the players and coaches he covered.
First of all, there's no way lefty's going to lose. Then he says, if I do lose, I'll give Packer 2 tickets to the ACC tournament this weekend.
This is Jim Packer with Billy Packer from Greensboro, North Carolina.
When you would go to school, when it got to be high noon of day one of the ACC tournament, the teachers would roll in the televisions so you could sit there and watch the games. Everybody watched the ACC tournament.
With television bringing the tournament everywhere from the classroom to the living room, it became more popular than ever.
As things began to become more available to average people who love the game but hadn't seen enough of it to really be part of it. As that happened, the ACC began to grow as a conference, and it began to spread.
A 10-point lead for the Duke Blue Devils.
And it left the natural geographic restraints of North and South. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and more important as it went.
They need to set up.
Billy Packer, a staple of men's college basketball coverage for CBS and NBC for decades, died tonight at the age of 82. Packer worked as an analyst for 34 consecutive Final Fours, from 1975 when John Wooden won it to 2008 when Bill Self won it.